Here are 10 college football programs that you should definitely buy stock in. Stock up on these teams. If there was a college football stock market, I would encourage you to buy right now because these guys are either on their way up or they're about to explode and you're about to get incredible value for this. I'm not a huge stocks guy, but let me explain when is it best to buy stock at a program. That way you can understand the criteria for this list. And that's typically when the public opinion is generally lower on a team, or maybe it's not as high as it should be, and they project to do much better in the future. And then of course, you know or see something that you believe others can't, or you believe others are overlooking or undervaluing. And so those are kind of the key things we're looking for the teams on this list. Let's jump into the honorable mentions. And in the honorable mentions, we have the Michigan Wolverines, which in their case, I think their stock has just risen a little bit too much this offseason with Bryce Underwood, with the way they ended last season. There's a lot of people that I think have already bought stock in Michigan, so I think it's too late to invest in them. You've got ULM. I think their head coach, Brian Vincent, is great. He had a great first year. I think he might leave, and I think he might leave as soon as the end of this season if they have another successful year. So to me, that's dangerous because if he leaves, ULM could come crashing back down. We've got Alabama. I think some people simply have not sold their stock yet from the Nick Saban era and still believe in Alabama. So there's not enough people that have sold their stock in the DeBoer era for it to be a worthy investment in this case. You've got Baylor, another one. They ended the season on a 6-game winning streak. People know about them. They already know Dave Aranda. I think the stock has also risen too much. And then you've got Auburn. This is a high volatility stock. If you're a crazy person, go invest in Auburn football, but I'm personally not going to because it's very high risk, very high reward with the extreme volatility and the results and outcomes of this season and for their future, depending on the results of this season, aka Hugh Freeze getting fired versus extended. But without further ado, let's get into the top 10. We're at number 10. We have the only FCS program on this list, Sacramento State. I'm not sure if you've been tracking the news cycles on Sacramento State recently, but they are in a fantastic position, probably the best position of any FCS program. And so the public opinion might just be that, yeah, they're an FCS program that's been solid. They've been making the playoffs. They've been winning games. That's fine. The insider info, so to say, which in some cases isn't necessarily insider, but it's my info to you, is that the Sac-12 initiative is happening at Sacramento State. They have invested $50 million in NIL. No, that is not a typo. No, I did not mess that up. The Sac-12 initiative is a hope to get an invite to the Pac-12 to be an FBS program in the future, to elevate. They're building a new stadium. They had the number 1 FCS recruiting class last cycle. They're currently 50th out of everyone, including FBS teams in the 2026 cycle. They are investing at a very high level right now. It's only a matter of time till they get the FBS invite, and not enough people are talking about it. They're hosting a 5-star quarterback for 2026 today as I make this video. There's insane stuff happening at Sacramento State, so one of the easiest buys in terms of stocking up. Coming in at number 9, we have Texas State. The Bobcats are a team that I think just flies under the radar in the Sun Belt in favor of some flashier programs. But for Texas State right now, the public opinion is that they're still a relatively new FBS team that joined, I believe, in 2011. They had a pair of solid seasons under G.J. Kinney. They won 8 games each of the last 2 years. But I really think they're a future Group of 5 powerhouse that is on the rise. And I think that's evidenced by the fact that they're getting buzzed for a Pac-12 invite. You should buy stock there because they're going to be a future Pac-12 member. I really think that's close to a done deal. Kinney is such a great head coach as well. Even if he gets poached elsewhere or goes to greener pastures, I think they'll replace effectively. They're another program that invests at a high level and is going to continue to rise. Coming in at number 8, we have the first Power Conference program on this list in Cincinnati. The Bearcats were formerly one of the great Group of 5 programs that's now back to a Power Conference status, and currently the public opinion is that they can't really figure it out or win in the Big 12, and Satterfield hasn't figured it out yet at Cincinnati, so some people might be feeling a little dubious on this coaching staff. Will they figure it out at all? I think they're going to be much, much better in 2025. I think in the 2024 season, they were much better than their record indicated, and if you look at this year, their returning production numbers stacked with how good analytically were, stacked with how much they've done through recruiting in the portal, stacked with all the youth they had on last season's roster, I think they're going to have a big-time 2025 season. And in the Big 12, the sky is the limit. I mean, this team could win the Big 12 for all I know. And they're a team that I absolutely would buy stock in right now just because I'm really excited about the combination, the dangerous combination of things they have going their way headed into 2025. Coming in at number 7, we have the Akron Zips, which is probably the last team you think of when you're thinking of teams to buy stock in. And the public opinion is that they're a poverty program in the MAC, which has been true largely. However, most people, because they have that opinion already formulated in their brain, didn't pay attention to the end of last season. Akron beat Eastern Michigan and Akron beat Toledo, two very solid programs. Toledo was really good and they beat him in the season finale, and Joe Moorhead has just unlocked something with Akron, and I really think they could go bowling this next year. People are not paying attention. Akron has finally done something that has seriously broken them through, even outside of this last season where they go 4-8. The year prior, they had lost like 4, it might have even been 5 one-score games. There is something seriously good happening with Akron football. They've seen Joe Moorhead through, and I really think their patience is finally paying off. Akron is going to be a very, very solid team in the MAC next season. Coming in at number 6, we have LSU. What is the exact philosophy for buying stock in a program? You should buy stock when public opinion is the lowest and their potential is the highest, and I think that is the perfect mixture for LSU. Right now, people think Brian Kelly can't get over the hump. LSU totally folds down the stretch in what could have been an SEC championship type season at one point. After that win over Ole Miss, they were looking great, and so people are just low on them. I hear nothing but slander of LSU, but I think Brian Kelly will get over the hump eventually at LSU. People are forgetting about the greatness that he's accomplished early in his tenure here, where he won the SEC West, these insane offenses he's had, and there's signs everywhere that they are going to have a great team this season. I think this is the best staff they've had yet, with Blake Baker fully getting settled in and his defensive staff, and I think the staff has improved every year. It's just a matter of time for LSU. This is one where you might buy some LSU stock. They might have another 8-4 and 9-3 season, but I think like in the next 3 years at least, you're going to get rewarded with that 1-12 win season where they make a run to the semifinals and the playoffs or something like that, that really rewards you for buying stock in them. Coming in at number 5, we have Southern Miss. Now, Southern Miss is one of the teams on this list where the public opinion is actually generally positive. People are thinking that Charles Huff, the former Marshall head coach who just won the Sun Belt, will improve Southern Miss immediately. And even though that's the public opinion, I would say just buy as much stock as you can in Southern Miss. I think this is a program and a team that could go from worst to first and win the Sun Belt because of Charles Huff's pedigree and because of all of the guys he's brought in. He has infused them with so much talent. Southern Miss can make something happen. Their program was in a much better spot than it appeared to be last season. There was just a lot of turmoil. They fire Will Hall. All that happens all at once. Southern Miss is in a great position to make something happen, and I think it's a great stock buy. Coming in at number 4, we have Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets, another one that has a positive public opinion. People believe they're a program that's building, but I think the key thing here is that Georgia Tech lost that game to Georgia, and I think subconsciously that affected their perception in some people's minds as to not label them as this crazy good team on the rise. Some people probably forgot about it, thought maybe it was just the passion of a rivalry, and then they lose to Vandy too, but I think this is a very safe long-term stock. They are building in the right spot. Brent Key is not going anywhere. He wants to be a Yellow Jacket for life. I think they're going to be very good for a long time. I think they're going to continue to elevate incrementally every year and just end up being just one of the top tier teams in the ACC eventually, as long as Brent Key is there with what he's unlocking, with what resources they have. Coming in at number 3, we have East Carolina. The Pirates are a team that I think is relatively unknown. Not a ton of people talk about East Carolina, and people know that they just hired their interim head coach, Blake Harrell, and I really think Harrell and East Carolina are going to be out for something real this year. They finished last season red hot. He's unlocking a group of 5 sleeping giant, in my opinion, and if you look at what's happening to a lot of the other contenders like Tulane and Memphis and Army, they're losing a ton of production this next season. East Carolina's just bringing it back, man. I really think the Infinity Gauntlet is being brought together for East Carolina. I think this could be a huge year. And aside from just this year, I love when an interim head coach gives a team some juice and then gets hired again. We saw it with Spencer Danielson at Boise State. He was the interim head coach. They win the Mountain West title. They hire him as the official head coach. Then they go to the college football playoff. Maybe that'll happen with East Carolina. Maybe not. It doesn't have to for this to be a good buy. Coming in at number 2, we have the Washington Huskies. Washington just completely fell off the radar after being the national runners-up and losing in the national title game to Michigan. Right now, the public opinion is that, well, Fish struggled in year 1. Washington regressed a ton. We'll see in the Big Ten. But I really think Fish is a winner, and I think the thing people fail to factor in is how late in the head coaching cycle Fish got the job at Washington. Saban waited a long time before announcing his retirement, and then Kalen DeBoer takes the job at Bama, and then Fish gets his job even later at Washington as the fallout of that move. So he was one of the latest hires of that cycle and just had to basically inherit what he inherited, and he still had some good things happen. They still made a bowl game. I think in year 2, they'll have a ton of success. I think they're going to win a lot of games in Seattle, not just this next year, but definitely going into the future. Finally, at the number 1 spot, we have Utah State. The Aggies are a team and a program that has been largely mediocre. Mainly, some of the public knows, oh, they hired Bronco Mendenhall. Oh yeah, the former Virginia head coach. Yeah, we'll see if he's still got it. But what the general public might not realize is, oh, Bronco Mendenhall does still got it. He was just at New Mexico this last season, where in 1 year he completely flipped the culture from a team that had just had multiple 2-win seasons to a team that had life. They were competing, they were winning games. They should have made a bowl game, honestly, just barely missed. And because of that, people don't realize just how good and how capable he is of fostering a culture very fast and doing exactly what he did to rebuild BYU when he was there. And so I think he's going to have this program back on its feet and in the right direction and really unlock the potential of Utah State. And then they'll join the Pac-12 soon, and the level of competition they're playing will rise up, and I think iron sharpens iron. I love this program for the future, and I think Bronco Mendenhall is going to do great things, and I think he's going to be content to stay with Utah State for a little bit. This is a state that he is very familiar with, and he's going to be at a pretty good spot in the Pac-12. So I think they'll be winners, and I think this is my number 1 stock up program right now. So there you have it. There are the 10 stock up college football programs right now that I would buy stock in. I wish there was an actual college football stock market. You guys will have to help me out. Maybe there is, and I can go invest in all these teams right now. But since there's not, hopefully this video scratches that itch for some of you. These are the teams I would buy stock in right now. Let me know down in the comments, which teams would you buy stock in that maybe aren't on this list, maybe they were on this list, but you would just buy even more or have them even higher on the list. Either way, let me know down in the comments. That's all I have for you guys in this video. I have a little bit more great content coming out for you guys to end out this week, and I will see you guys later this week.